Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we are discussing the episode Players. This episode originally aired March 26th, 2003, attracting approximately 3.45 million viewers. Alrighty. So why don't we start off with the number one song in America this week, Dave?
I'd probably just take the safest bet and wouldn't be surprised if 50 Cent would still be up at the top of the list, though I'm hoping something new is kind of taking the place.
Your hopes are dashed because it is still Into Club by 50 Cent.
Yeah, understandable.
And the number one movie in America this week, Dave.
Movie-wise, yeah, nothing is immediately jumping to mind that would have released that early in the year. So I suppose the In the House, I believe it was the last week.
Bringing Down the House, yeah. Is still the number one movie in America with just over $16.2 million.
There you go.
Which, for a thoroughly not very good film, is shocking that it did this well. Anyway, let us move on to some video games. Now, on the day this episode aired, if you really wanted to pick up a game, you had three new options. If you're a PC gamer, you could pick up Galactic Civilizations.
Supposed neatness.
Which I've never played and I don't really know anything about. If you were an Xbox gamer, you could pick up Jurassic Park or Operation Genesis, which I think last week or the previous day came to the PS2. Also, on the 26th, if you were a Game Boy Advance player, you could pick up Superman: Countdown to Apocalypse.
Supposed neat. Superman was also a particular superhero thing at the time.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't think this game is very good, but
mild sadness.
I mean, it's a Game Boy Advance Superman game.
Yeah.
The next day, on March 27th, if you were a PC gamer, I don't know. I mean, I doubt anybody bought this game because, you could pick up this little game that I'm sure nobody's ever heard of called Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance.
Which was that thing?
It's Metal Gear Solid 2 just on PC.
Yes.
Well, I think technically there's like a little bit of stuff added to it, but...
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's one of the games that despite having it and knowing bits and pieces, I have not worked my way through it.
Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid is always one of those series where I'm always like, I really want to get into it because it's totally like the game I should love, but I've just never played them.
Yeah, it's a bit understandable that even with working through it, especially with the first one, just getting past the controls and even getting particular things and whatnot together, there are particular niches and gameplay styles that are just very hard to break through.
I think, for me, if they ever release a remake of Metal Gear Solid, which I know to some people is probably, blasphemy, but I'm like, I really would love to play that game. It's just going back and seeing it on PS1 is... Ooh.
Well, it's also kind of cases of they actually did. There was a re-release of the Metal Gear Solid series on the GameCube that they did. It was advanced graphics and completely incredible, but you need to pay a small mint to actually get a copy nowadays.
Yeah, I was going to say, they released the Twin Snakes, which is apparently very, very good, but it is ridiculously expensive and impossible to find.
Indeed.
But Metal Gear Solid remake on the PS5, that would be pretty cool. Anyway, moving along. The final game we have for this week, which is another one which I'm sure nobody ever played. If you had an Xbox on March 30th, you could go to the store and pick up a little game by the name of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes.
Yes.
I'm assuming you've played some of the Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Maybe bits and pieces. I think I might have it as a download somewhere on one of my consoles.
Really? Okay. I adored this series. Now, in all fairness, I don't think I've played any of them for a good while now. I don't even remember what the last release is. What's the Infinite in 2017 I've definitely never played. I think the last one I played was 3. But yeah, I loved those games as a kid.
Hmm.
Anyway, that is it for video games. But my God, is this a year? Because we've got some bangers coming up. But let us move on to the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we start off seeing Gwen exchanging money for information with a man in downtown Los Angeles, and then is soon struck by lightning, which just kind of happens to her, so no big deal.
You know, she's fine, and the other guy runs off, which is completely understandable.
Yes. She's planning a heist, ostensibly to rescue a young girl, Lisa, from a tycoon who kidnapped her from the head of a company over a business deal gone bad. She enlists the help of Gunn, someone suave enough for the job. They arrive by limo at the tycoon's compound, dressed in formal wear for the dinner party. After some difficulty, Gunn gains entrance by greeting the host. Okay, I'm sorry, but there's Japanese names and I might butcher them. Takashi Morimoto. I'm probably butchering that. But in Japanese, and charming him based on Gwen's dossier of Morimoto's charitable work. It soon becomes apparent to Gunn that Gwen has tricked him. Instead of a kidnapped girl, Gwen is after a high-tech military device titled Lisa, which will enable Gwen to control her electrical powers and touch other people. Gwen is caught in the ruse, taking the daughter of Morimoto. Though he is able to fight his way free, he finds Gunn after the distraction he had created for her, but they are cornered by Morimoto and his men. Gwen sends a shock of electricity through them all, and Gunn and Gwen escape back to her place. They test the device, a prototype that regulates components of the body for the purposes of stealth on Gwen. It enters her system through her bare back, and they both realize it works. With relief, the two kiss, without much human contact in all her years, and knowing that Lisa is only a prototype. Gwen is reluctant to let things continue, but Gunn convinces her otherwise. And they continue to kiss, and it is implied that they have sex. Meanwhile, at the hotel, the gang reels from the shock of Cordelia's very sudden pregnancy. Connor is still agitated by the situation, and Cordelia continues to manipulate his feelings about their family. She explains that she may ask him to do other things before the baby arrives, but there would be a good reason for them all. Fred and Wesley research and talk about the strange relationship between Cordelia and Connor. At the office, Angel tries to remember an ancient code from Lila's book that may tell them something about the Master. Cordelia tries to disguise her displeasure that they could be getting crucial information about her and attempts to spill the coffee on the paper. But Angel's not-so-accurate memory of the text saves her the trouble. Lorne returns with news that he has information on a ritual that can be performed to restore his empathic powers, and that he has to go off on his own to do it. In an empty building, Lorne prepares the ritual, while unknown to him, Cordelia watches from a hidden spot above. Lorne begins the ritual and starts to sing as Cordelia slowly descends some stairs and approaches him with a raised knife. Before she can strike, the lights suddenly turn on, exposing Cordelia and Angel standing behind her. Cordy turns and finds Fred and Wesley are also there, both with guns pointed at her, and Lauren refers to a magic 8-ball to find if Cordy's been bad. Lauren turns to read the magic 8-ball, and it says, "Definitely."
Just the money shot, and hence why you brought up the 8-ball in the last episode.
Yes. So what do we think of this episode? Because now everybody kind of knows that Cordy, there's something's wrong here.
Yeah, with all the particular stuff. So, on the one hand, oh, thank God, everyone else is finally in on the situation. So, there's not any more silly shenanigans aside from that bloody Connor. But we'll get to him. But, again, just with how this episode sort of went along, it was all right for how it decided to go. But I think the B plot kind of took over everything within the A plot. At the very most, it was an episode to at least sort of reintroduce Gwen, give explanation to the character, things that will most likely be important or going along with the story, but still kind of a case of certain things taking over from everything else within the plot. But there's only so much from the A plot that can possibly be discussed without maybe taking up too much time or sounding too boring.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument that this is kind of a filler episode. There is technically some stuff to do with kind of the overarching narrative, but like you said, the Gwen and Gunn stuff is kind of just there to fill an episode.
Hmm. At the very least, it was at least entertaining with the course going through heist plot, all the particular issues from that. And man, that little girl, she was marvelous. Just the case of, you're not Lisa, are you? No, I am her daughter, and when my dad finds out, you're gonna be dead.
Yeah, and I mean, I do enjoy it because I love heist movies and stuff, so I'm always in for stuff like that. But yeah, this episode, I mean,
And then,
eh.
of course, also the marvelous issue of Gunn cheated on Fred, which is just, though I can't remember specifically if it's a case of they're back together or they're still essentially apart, but more relationship drama issues.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they're not together right now, so whatever. Okay, so if there's nothing else, let's look at some international titles. There's a few for this one, so most of them end up just being players. But if we go to French, it translates as Operation Lisa,
Oh, there we go.
and in German, it translates as Dangerous Game.
Which is very much true in both the cases.
Yes, it is quite a good title. Anyway, if there's nothing else, next week we'll be discussing the episode Inside Out.
Oh no.
Okay. Okay. Desperate to find out why Cordelia has turned to the dark side, Angel goes to the demon Skip. Do you remember Skip?
Vaguely?
You know, the big
Wasn't
demon.
it just that he died?
I mean, um, no, he didn't die.
Oh, okay. It was just the case of he was most likely maimed and beat the shit out of, but not specifically killed.
Yeah, I don't think he was. Yeah. Anyway, let us continue here. Forcing the truth out of him, Angel learns that this is terribly written. Angel learns all that's transpired. Connor's birth, Cordelia's ascension to the higher plane, Angel turning into Angelus, and Cordelia's pregnancy were all part of a higher being's power to create something more powerful than itself.
Hmm. So again, the big dad's plan was to just make something stronger than him to do the dirty work of causing world destruction.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's always one of the particular evil plans, I suppose.
And well, Dave, we might meet that agent of destruction soon.
Oh, joy.
So until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.